It brought us the Roaring Twenties, the Space Age and the Information Age, the 50s and the 60s. Radio, television, satellites, and cell phones all caught up in a swirling sea of change. And it introduced a new voice in music, our voice. From the ground to the air to the sky to the concert hall, this has been the American Century. Welcome to the American Century, an exploration of America's modern musical legacy, hosted by David Dubal.
This is the American Century. I'm David Dubal. Let's begin with a terrific little piece by the great sound explorer Harry Partch, 1901-1974. It's called Yankee Doodle Fantasy. The piece is scored for soprano, tin flute, chromelodeon, oboe, and flexotone, each tuned to Partch's 43-tone just intonation. So what's a flexotone? And what's 43-tone just intonation? Well, I just can't answer now. But listen to this fascinating bit of music by Harry Partch. It's about 4.5 minutes. Johnny Reinhardt conducts, plays the flexotone. Mirabai Rothrock is the soprano. Joshua Pierce on the synthesizer. And Andrew Bolotovsky is on tin flute. Matt Sullivan will be heard playing his oboe. It's all in the spirit of the picnic. This is Harry Partch's first appearance on the American Century.
Shall I be? I get the money. I bring it all to thee. Oh, my little honey. play Momo, pummel you and Bumpo. Daggers, pistols, swords, and guns kick about your rumpo. Doodle doodle doo doodle doodle doo doodle doodle doo. In 43 tones to the octave. Yankee-doodle, keep it up, Yankee-doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy.
I know that you recognized Yankee Doodle, a tune as American as apple pie. The work by Harry Partch called Yankee Doodle Fantasy. John Reinhardt conducted an ensemble. We now sample two songs by Dennis Hyams. Mr. Hyams is a doctor of medicine, a composer, and a pianist. We hear If It Should Happen. It's a poem by Adele DeLuise, and Two Lips, to a poem by Thomas Hardy. The distinguished tenor is Ronald Naldi. The composer, Dennis Hyams, is at the piano.
If it should happen in the days to come that you and I shall see all lovely things through different eyes, and beauty leave us dumb, and happiness go by on silent wings. If it should happen that these hearts of ours that beat as one now in love's perfect noon should someday cease to feel the other's pulse, be sure, my dear, the crying of the loon will be no lovelier than my one cry. Its flight no wilder than the flight I'll make. For if the time comes when our love shall die, I do not know what far-flung course I'll take. I only know that I shall rise no more. Once I have reached the farthest desert shore. I kissed them in fancy as I came away in the morning glow. I kissed them through the glass of a picture frame she did not know. I kissed them in love, in truth, in laughter, when she knew long so that I should kiss them in a shroud thereafter. She did not know.
Those were two songs by Dennis Hyams, If It Should Happen and Two Lips. Ronald Naldi was the tenor and the composer, playing the piano. For more than a year, we've been listening to the marvelous American musical heritage that the 20th century has produced. Let us pray that the next century continues to provide our American artists with the environment necessary to create art. Although the year 2000 is upon us, actually, as you all know, we are now in the last year of the 20th century. It's been a century of horrible turbulence. I was reading an extraordinary little extract from the poet Wallace Stevens' journal just the other day, and it seems that everyone then knew that December 31st, 1900, not 1899, was the last moment of the 20th century. He wrote that night, "Well, it is some satisfaction to still be living in the 19th century. It's a rather cozy century, and we've got used to it. But the change is coming. The temptation to make resolutions is tremendous, but that's the one temptation I find easy to resist, and I do not intend to make any kind of attempt at turning over a new leaf." I had intended to go to St. Patrick's Cathedral to attend midnight mass, but I am now in my room and shall stay there. The church bells are ringing, the streets are filled with people, boys, girls, men, women, none of whom, most likely, will see the century out. But they are welcoming it heartily, if one is to judge by the noise they are making. I am carried away and would like to kick or kiss something or somebody. What a nasty reflection at this moment. But time's scythe is not a magic wand, and though the century changes, I still remain Wallace Stevens and can say adieu to no part of me. So the century so soon to go, adieu, adieu, and God rest her bones. I shall now crawl into my pajamas and be meditative if I can. I love that, especially the part of the cozy century. And for those of you who have felt that you have more to do in the 20th century, you really do have 12 more months to do it. Let's continue our program, heard each Sunday on WQXR 96.3 FM. I'm your host, David Dubal, and we turn to a composer who was one of the most celebrated figures in the arts of all the 20th century in any country, John Cage, prophet of the avant-garde, an influence on countless artists in many media. He was a figure of high originality. We shall hear just a sample from his really, some people think, magnum opus, the sonatas and interludes for prepared piano. We'll listen to 3.5 minutes from the 50-minute opus. In this performance, we have Joshua Pierce with his prepared piano. The music of John Cage. Those were two pieces by John Cage from his sonatas and interludes for prepared piano. The performer Joshua Pierce, who doubtless prepared the piano himself. And it was John Cage's first appearance on the American Century. Let's welcome another new composer to this program. We have not yet heard the music of David Alper, but that will soon be rectified. Today we hear from David Alper's Tribute to Kerouac. It was composed in 1998. We'll sample the American Nocturne, Movin' On, and Beat Scene. The performers are Jonathan Coley, clarinet, Kenneth Rodnowski, tenor sax, Alper is at the piano, and Robert Lindman, string bass. Here goes, 3 movements from the 7-movement suite, Tribute to Kerouac.
Thank you.
I thought perhaps you would like those three movements from the suite Tribute to Kerouac. It was the first time we've heard the music of David Alper. And the performance, Jonathan Kohler, clarinet, Ken Rodnowski, tenor saxophone, Robert Lyman, string bass. Once again, the music of David Alper, and it was composed in 1998. It's time for a break, and remember there's much more on today's American Century, including the Nashville Mandolin Ensemble. This is David Dubal, and I'm proud to present the American Century, heard each Sunday at 12:05 on WQXR 96.3 FM. And now let's hear the fine conductor Judith Clerman leading the New York Concert Singers in Virgil Thompson's 4 songs to poems of Thomas Campion. They are Follow Your Saint, There is a Garden in Her Face, Rose-Cheeked Laura, Come Follow Thy Fair Son. William Blunt is the clarinet, Sarah Cutler harp, Louise Schulman viola. Judith Clerman conducts the New York Concert Singers.
Follow your saint, follow with accent sweet, haste, sad notes, fall at her flying feet. There at in crowd of sorrow, pity move, and tell the ravisher of my soul, I perish for her love. But if she scorns, I never ceasing pain. Then bursts sighing in her smiles, and then return again. All that my sense still to her praise return, since still she was
You have heard Judith Clerman conducting Virgil Thomson's 4 songs to poems of Thomas Campion. Miss Clerman has done much for American music, conducting numerous premieres of American composers. She's on the faculty of the Juilliard School, and she's an indefatigable musician who has also commissioned works by American composers. It was 1988 that Miss Clerman founded the New York Concert Singers. 3 works remain on today's American Century. 2 will be from the New World Records CD called All the Rage, and it's mandolin ensemble music. First, we listen to the Boston Ideal March, the composer Samuel Siegel. The piece was dedicated, and listen to this, to the members of the Boston Ideal Banjo, Mandolin, and Guitar Club. Imagine. Mandolin ensembles were once really all the rage in our more innocent America. The optimism of the music does me good. Here is the lilting sound of the Nashville Mandolin Ensemble, conducted by Paul Martin Zahn. The piece, The Boston Ideal March, by Samuel Siegel. that sound of yesteryear was the Boston Ideal March, played by the Mandolin Ensemble of Nashville, the conductor, Paul Martin Zahn. We'll have another mandolin selection to conclude today's edition of the American Century. But before, I wanted to get in another new composer that we have not heard. His name, Harold Shapiro. He was very famous for a while in the 40s and 50s, and now very seldom do we hear his name. But we're going to hear from his four-hand piano sonata, and it was composed when he was 21 years old, 1941. We'll hear the last movement, and it's titled by the composer Fast, then Slightly Faster. It's 4 minutes and 35 seconds, and this duet is played by David Kopp and Rodney Lister. That was the final movement of the Piano Sonata for 4 hands by Harold Shapiro, an American composer not yet heard on this series. And for our final music on the American Century today, once again a work for mandolin ensemble. Let's hear Sweet Corn. It was composed in 1923. It's a march, rather complex, and it comes from the prolific pen of a man by the name of A.J. Weit, W-E-I-D-T. Here it is, the Nashville Mandolin Ensemble, and they'll be performing for us. And it was with Sweet Corn that we concluded today's edition of the American Century. From parch to cage to American mandolin music, it's quite a range. As usual, I very much enjoyed listening with you. Return with us next Sunday at 12:05 p.m., where we celebrate the American composer of the American Century. This is David Dubal. Thank you for listening.